Need to sell your car? Tried the internet and don't want strangers at your house? Give it to us, CarNet Auctions Adelaide, and if we don't sell it for you, we won't charge you a thing. Visit our website, caa.com.au, and ask for Darren. He will sell your car the easy way, no sale, no charge. CarNet Auctions, Grand Junction Road, Athol Park.
Yes, thanks for staying with us. Unfortunately, Libby Hotwood was about to join us, but for unforeseen circumstances, Libby's been called away. But filling in, Dennis Browne joins me. Dennis Browne, of course, 52 years he's been involved with the SANFL, 5 as an umpire, has not missed calling a game in the SANFL for 47 years. Doesn't quite look the same as Libby, unfortunately, for our viewers. But Dennis, thanks for filling in.
No worries, Phil. It's a pleasure to be here, mate.
All right, let's get started with a couple of things, mate. You've been around footy a long time. Mick Malthouse earlier in the week was given his marching orders, sacked. There's no nice way of saying it. You've seen a lot of things happen over the course of 47 years. Were you surprised or not surprised to see Malthouse go?
Not really, no. I don't think it was a big surprise. I think a lot of people would be 50-50 on it, given what has transpired over the last 3 or 4 weeks with the Blues, the old dark navy Blues. I guess the media has really been pushing the barrow, and they are powerful, the media. There's no doubt about that. And when you lose respect to the players, and I don't think there's any doubt that he has lost respect with the players, I think you're beating a dead cat.
All right, let's talk about the power of the media. No question, Mick's relationship at best has been described as prickly, although in his retirement he joined the media for a while and was very good, so I wouldn't be surprised to see Mick go back into that. But there's a time where you give people an opportunity to get back at you when you've done something to them. Do you sense that just the last, well, certainly this season, a little bit of last, that a lot of the journalists that Mick from time to time had been prickly with have opened the door and said, this is my chance to get even?
Yeah, well, I guess what the big thing there is we're both human beings, the media and the not media. And I guess Mick probably pushed the barrow a little bit too far on most occasions.
He can be grumpy.
Very, very grumpy. And I think you're spot on. I think the media are having the last say here, and they're probably laughing all the way to the hammer and tank.
Can you see it making a big difference? I mean, they're 2 weeks out from the bye. They talked about waiting 2 weeks and then doing it in the bye. And obviously, Mick was smart enough to work it out, and the club had made it clear that in 2 weeks they're going to review him. I mean, Mick's statement early in the week that after 713 games, if they need 2 weeks to decide on my coaching, then something's going on. And then Mick was sort of ambushed a bit by the media in the last couple of days prior to getting the sack, and I think that just opened up. The walls came crumbling down and Mick's gone.
Yep.
Where do you see Mick now?
Well, I guess because of his ability to handle the media, if you like, in a way, I don't think he'd have any problems being part of the media.
Well, his profile allows him.
I think he'd be very good. I think he'd be very honest. I mean, as we know, he does a radio segment on a regular basis here in Adelaide, and he comes over very well because he doesn't try and beat the people that are interviewing, whereas prior, when he's acting as the coach of the Blues, or in any side for that matter, he tries to sort of outsmart them a bit.
We saw the 713th game, he tried to soften the softer side of Mick. You know, we saw the kids, the grandkids and all that, but it just didn't feel like people bought into that. Did you feel that?
Yeah, I don't think he was trying to hoodwink the public, and I don't think it was successful. In fact, I think he failed dismally, to be honest with you.
All right,
he just he hasn't got that sort of personality.
All right, I mean, he's been terrific. I mean, 713 games, he's the record holder in the AFL. Yeah. There is a question mark, of course, whether he's the record holder if you're counting the SANFL and AFL. But Mick, well done. Hopefully things go in the right direction for him. Let's talk about SANFL. 47 years, DB. You've seen a lot, nearly 5 decades of footy. Is there a team across that 47 years where you went, this is my favourite team? Now, we know each year teams get better, athletes get better, but was there one team for you in that 47 years ago, that's the team I just loved watching? That's the team I think was unbeatable.
The Double Blues through the 60s when Jack Oatey took control and virtually changed the style of the game. They had a fantastic side. Their run-on, their handball, their quick movement of the footy, their skill level, absolutely outstanding. And of course they carried it on through the 60s. I mean, there's been good sides. The Doggies, for example, had a magnificent decade there of winning premierships. We've seen the Redlegs win flags. We've seen the Bays. We've seen the Eagles. But I think the Double Blues through the 60s
Port Adelaide, mate. You left Port Adelaide out. Don't like Port Adelaide?
Oh, I didn't mention Port, did I? No. The Magpies, yeah, they're very good, of course. The Magpies, they had that period in the 50s, didn't they, with the Westies and Norwood for that matter. Their reputation was just outstanding. Big Bob McLean at the helm, and they were good in the
All right,
Maggies.
you talk about the Sturt team of the 60s. Give me some of the names of the players that you thought were outstanding through that period.
There was just so many of them. I mean, you had Brenton Adcock, you had Cole Casey, there was Diamond Jim Tilbrook at centre wing, Baggy, brilliant, Doc Clarkson, there was Dunny, Roger Dunn, just so many of them. Michael Graham, just brilliant footballers that Sturt started producing through that era, and just skill level. Keith Jessel's another one, just outstanding. Malcolm Greenslade up at full forward. Yeah, just they kept producing player after player that just fitted into Jack Oatey's style of coaching, and they were absolutely outstanding.
All right, I'm going to throw a couple of names at you. So put your coach's hat on. You're sitting down at the selection panel. You've got first draft pick. I've got the second draft pick, but the names are getting thrown out, and you've got to decide whereabouts they might sit. Malcolm Blight.
From what I know now, first choice.
First choice for you, right? Barry Robran.
First choice.
Mate, that's two first choices. Russell Ebert.
Well, if the other guys aren't there, first choice.
His first choice. What about Rick Davies?
Jumbo was outstanding, wasn't he? In the SNFL, if he'd have been just a fraction taller when he went to Victoria, he would have just dominated over there. I think they gave him the role as a ruckman in Victoria, but he was just slightly short of the
Went
ruckman.
later in his career too.
Sorry?
Went later in his career to Hawthorn.
Oh, yeah. Well,
so he wasn't at his prime when he
yeah,
went.
He wasn't either, but he had that ability to take the grab. Beautiful kicker of the footy. Here, he just dominated.
Right, so would he be just under first place, just under first pick?
Well, are we talking?
So you wouldn't have him in there with Blight,
Yeah.
Robran, Ebert? Would he just sneak underneath?
You're talking AFL.
No, I'm just
draft.
talking. You're picking your team. Would he be in your first round pick, or would he be a second round pick?
Well, if those other guys aren't there, he's a first round
He's
pick.
a first round pick.
Yeah.
Peter Carey.
Yeah, well, Super's in the same category. I would have thought he was brilliant. Super. I think he was ahead of his time. Super when he came into the game, the ability to grab, a bit like the old days of Polly Farmer, with the ability to bring other players, the Rovers and the Ruck Rovers, into the game. He was just a great footballer, Peter Carey.
All right, Paul Bagshaw.
Baggy, well, probably never got the accolades he should have, Baggy, because he always had so much time, didn't he, Baggy? And the skill level was outstanding. He was in that era of the 60s with the double blues, and he went on when others sort of retired somewhat. But, yeah, he was just out. I think always the sign of a good player is they've got time where other players seem to be rushed.
All right, let me ask you, he's our state coach. Of course, unfortunately, they went down to WA, but Graham Corns, where does Cornsy sit in that group?
I think he sits very highly. I've always had a great respect for Graham Corns, not only as a footballer, but believe it or not, as a media, because I produced him a few times with he and KG and Hooksy along the way, the late David Hooks, of course, and his ability on radio was outstanding, and I think he equalled that on the footy field. He for his build, he was just unbelievable. And when he went to North Melbourne, I don't think he was given a fair go, to be honest with you. I would have loved to have seen him play the role that he played here for the Bays, as a follower, and allowed to play his own game, take the specky, which he could do, of course, as we know. But he was a great footballer, Graham Corn, and his two sons, I think, it proves that the breeding has passed on.
Breeding was pretty good. All right,
Yeah.
Gary McIntosh.
Oh, I love Macca. Yeah, just one of the few players I knew that reckoned could handball the ball further than he could kick a footy. But I admired Macca for his loyalty. People say loyalty today is down the drain, but Macca, again, he was only small in stature, but had the heart of a lion. Would go into packs where other players might just think, hang on, it looked a bit tough in there for me. But no, and great skills, Macca, great skill. Yeah.
Peter Marker.
Peter was the same, went to school with Peter Marker at Ross River College actually, and right from the word go as a schoolboy you knew he was a great footballer, and sort of showed that not only with the Bays but state footy as well. Would have been a superstar in Victoria in the AFL. We keep saying AFL, but let's face it, it's still the VFL, isn't it really?
Yep. Yeah. All right. We don't want to get you too emotive on that. There's often players you see and you go, geez, he's super quick, or he's a great mark.
Yeah.
So we talk about some of the quickest players you think. So we're not talking about their skill, but a Bruce Light.
Yeah,
players along that era. Was there one player that you thought, just for pure speed, he's the quickest?
Well, that's a good question. For sheer speed, well, the bloke that used to play for West Adelaide at centre wing that went to North Melbourne called Bertie Johnson.
Yep.
And he was at lightning speed, just electrifying speed. And the Indigenous players just seem to be able to produce that lightning speed. We've got some players playing now that are just super quick, you know. And the lad that went to Essendon from South Adelaide, what's his name? Gee whiz. He was real quick, and I can't think of his name, but...
Nailey? Mark Nailey?
No,
I didn't go to Essendon.
not a good footballer. No.
No, I can't think. All right, we'll move on. Best set of hands. You know, they talk about Andrew Jarman had great skill with his hands.
Yeah.
Best set of hands for you?
I think Jars and probably Macca. We'd bring Macca into that skill with the hands. He was brilliant with his hands, but Andrew Jarman for pure ability to take a moving footy and put it to a teammate, just 9.99999 out of 10.
An inspirational player that you said, I want on my team, I know when it gets down and dirty, when we need someone to stand up, is it Neil Curley?
I was just going to say
Is it Foss Williams? Is it
Knuckles
Neil Curley?
All day, every day.
All right.
Yeah.
Was Curley, and I'm a big Neil Curley fan because I think he's got a great mind for the game, but I think a lot of people just saw him as a physical presence, but he did have a great mind for the game and great skills.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. I mean, he used to take on guys that were 3 or 4, maybe 5, 6 inches taller than him, beat them hands down. He would win. He had the ability to win games off his own bat. He could turn a game around purely by what he did on that field. His teammates would say, holy cow, you know, how good is this bloke? I want to be like him. And he was outstanding, Neil. Just absolutely outstanding.
All right, 47 years calling the SANFL. Which has been your most enjoyable call? Is there one where you've gone, not that you called it great, because if you've lasted 47 years, you've called a lot of great games, but one where you walked away and went, wow, that was just a great game to call?
Well, Norwood and Port, obviously. When Norwood came from 5th in 1984, that was my first ever grand final call, and for Norwood to get over the line that day, they did it against the odds, still the only side to do so, and it was a great game of footy, fantastic game of footy, had everything. That's the one.
All right, nearly time to go. You saw it go from Adelaide Oval, you saw it go to West Lakes to AAMI Stadium, you've seen it go back to Adelaide Oval. Great decision?
As it turned out, yes. Initially I wasn't part of it, no, because I used to go to Adelaide Oval when I was a kid, virtually lived there, second home, cricket, footy, and it used to have its own atmosphere. Today, the atmosphere is different altogether, but it's great. All
right, hope you've enjoyed the show, everyone. It's time for us to go, DB. Thanks for jumping into the hot seat. Rachel Spawn joins us next week, one of the lovely ladies of sport in South Australia. Hopefully, we'll catch you next week.